Good morning, good afternoon, and also good evening to all attendees. Thank you for joining today this new IRQB webinar. Regarding the first question, I see and I feel the pressure increasing for all our speakers because a lot of attendees have already some information or some thoughts about project management, and therefore are very interested in having feedbacks and news about this process. So thank you for joining. Next slide, please. So this Quality Monthly webinar, I will moderate it. My name is Bernard Kaufmann. I'm the IRB coordinator and as well in charge of the Iris Management Center. And I really be happy to be present today. Next slide. This November edition is based on a topic as mentioned, which is a key topic in the railway business, It's project management. The rail business is a project business. Up to now, only a few products are sold on shelf. Mainly, it's linked to specification and to special wishes. And this, I think, will also be mentioned by our speakers. As mentioned, we have this Friday a really lot of registration for this webinar, and this shows the importance of the topic, the importance of the process for you as an organization, and also in terms of preparing, I would say, a very well organized project management in front of your customers, but also able to be checked and assessed by the IRIS auditors. As usual, you have seen we will have questions today through the Menti system. You have to take the code written at the top of this slide, and you will also then be able to share your view and to give a hint to our speakers in their presentation. But you can also raise questions, because at the end of the session, as usual as well, we will have a question and answer session, and I will then directly ask our speakers the question you have raised for this. No problem. In the progress of this webinar, you will be able to show all this. So who are the speakers today? You will discover it on the next slide. There are 5 people who will give you and share with you their expertise, their experience in this webinar. So they will also take the opportunity, especially the two last speakers, to present you the newly published guideline on this subject, project management. First, I will give the floor to Stefan Ziegler, Vice President, Quality Business Excellence and Siemens Mobility. He's a member of the IRIS Steering Committee, and he's the chair of the IRQB board. Then I will hand over to Andrea Theadios, Quality and Strategy Manager at CAF, member of the IRIS Steering Committee as well, and member of the IRQB board. Later, Stefan Filges, Director of Global Project Management at Harting Electric, will share with you also his experience in a multi-business organization. And Jana Jung from the IRIS Management Center will give you more explanation about the guideline itself, as well as Louise Nietzsche, a member of this working group, will give you also details on the way how it is perceived and how she, as member of the Siemens Mobility team, also has worked on this guideline and giving you some hints on how you might implement this in your organization. So now, immediately, I will hand over to the first speaker, the Chairman, Stefan Ziegler.
Yeah, thank you, Bernard, and hello and welcome also from my side. I would like to introduce today into the topic of project management, and yeah, start with the first slide. So next slide, please. So having a look on the two typical, the product and the project business. So just to start with the definition and to distinguish in between, because I think we will talk a lot about today, and also have to differ in between both. The product business, I think it's known, just to define it shortly, mainly defined for a customer anonymous market, focusing on general market needs and having a standardized sales approach, having a standardized order fulfillment, serial production often, which is definitely to be distinguished from the project business, where typically the one-off character is dominating, dealing with highly customer individual products and services, the uniqueness of the conditions in general, so meaning the environment of the project and the boundary conditions in which it is realized, having a limited amount of time and is in this to this principle typically only realized once for a specific customer, for a specific project. And yeah, as Bernard already said, most of our business, especially on the system integrator level, is realized in the form of a project business. Might it be rolling stock or might it be rail infrastructure? Not much difference in this situation. Obviously, the more deeper you go down in the supply chain, you will see that also product business is part of our business. And yeah, today we have all the supply chain represented. You will hear Ander Teradios from CAF as a system integrator. And on the other side, also Stefan Vilgas, who is from Harting, who are producing typically products which are used for the project business in the railway industry. And I think we will explore a lot about the cooperation of both elements and both types of business, whereas the question is how to handle this in an integrated project approach. This is also what the guideline is dealing about. We will present at the end. And yeah, maybe a little bit digging more inside. Next slide, please. So for the project management and why is it important? As said, most of the projects are realized in on the system integrator level in project management manner, so project business. We have a very high complexity of the products, both in rail infrastructure and rail rolling stock. We have typically a lot of changes. We have a one-off characteristic. We have unique requirements. We have a lot of stakeholders which have to be managed. And this brings a lot of complexity. And this needs to be managed in a reliable way so that also here, first time right applies, on-time delivery, of course, is ensured. Where the rail industry in total is still not up to the level which needs to be realized and is desirable. And so we have to further improve also our project management skills, and therefore it's part of the IRQB certification and in the entire supply chain. Next slide, please. So this is what we try to visualize here. So we have the entire supply chain starting from the rail operator asking for a project to be realized, typically at the system integrator level. Then you have equipment manufacturers. Here is an example of a brake system. It might be a door system, other systems. These are typically also realized in a project management approach. And if you go deeper down the supply chain, you will find also the manufacturers of standard goods, so doing product business. But obviously, if it all needs to fit together in an integrated product, they have to somehow integrate into this project and follow also some project management rules, even they do product business. And this is what we want to explore today furthermore, and which is also part of the guideline we would like to present to you. So what I would like to emphasize is the importance of project management in rail business, both to ensure a high quality, reliable business and an integrated high performance supply chain. And by this, I wish you a interesting webinar today on project management. Thank you.
Thank you, Stefan, for this introduction and clarifying, I would say, the boundaries of this area in the rail sector and so on. Let's now have the view of system integrator, CAF, and I hand over to Ander Teradios, who will give you his point of view on the subject. Ander.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, as you said, Bernard. Thank you, Stefan, for this short and clear introduction. I will share with all of you in 8-10 minutes our expertise, our experience in this fantastic topic, which is the project management. As system integrator, even though we have in the group some component divisions, I will focus in system integrator. So please go ahead. Okay, there are three main messages that I would like to share with you. The first one is very simple. As system integrator, we are obliged, we must work by product business. So since we customize our products for each project, so it's compulsory, is needed. There is no discussion. I will go later on further on this topic. The second one is the second message is even the complex of this sector is huge. It's very difficult to reach and to be in top of it. And even if you are doing internally your own transformation, as I will share with you later on, it is possible to obtain positive results. And I will end up this short presentation sharing with you some real statistics regarding positive results after this transformation that we have go into. So the first message, which is a must, please go ahead. Here we have an image, and you can see many different projects, many different trains, metros, and so on. And here the message is, again, each customer has its own requirements. We have a part of those ones. We have the legal, the environment, the sustainability requirements, quality, and so on. In order to fit and to shake hands again after the bidding process and to obtain the contract, we need to adapt our product to those requirements, to adapt them on time, to do whatever we need internally. I will go later on this field. But what we need is to have the customer completely satisfied, which repeat again in future contracts. All of us, we know that the business is much easier when the things are going well, and when the customer repeats, it's cheaper than to open new customers. So this is the first message. This is very simple, nothing else to go for it. And I will start now with the second point, which is more regarding which is the complexity of CAF and how we have transformed ourselves towards this project management. So please go ahead. Okay, I will not go through this. So we have more than 100, we were founded 100 years ago, more than 100. We have go into different phases. I will not go through them, but the message here is that CAF has, as many of you are constantly adapting your value chain and your value to the customer. We need to deliver our products, our services, and to repeat and to enlarge our capabilities, our technologies. In our case, we have done this especially, and I will go later on in the next slides, in the last 20 to 25 years, even though, again, we have more than 100 years. So please go ahead. Okay, CAF 20 years ago, more or less, you can see on the right side on your screen, we were a business with less than 400 million euros turnover. We were present in one domestic market. We are a Spanish company, the headquarters are in Spain, and we had one domestic market, some few projects, some few customers, and one unique site. So the management system, the system was, let's say, simple at that time. We start taking some decisions, and at that time, the system was, let's say, tailored suite management system. So any new projects, we develop a train for this project, we deliver, and that's it. It is possible when you have 2, 3, 4 projects. When you transform your company and you become, as we are today, global, in which we are present in more than 40 countries, we have running not 2, 3 projects, but many of them. We have multi-projects. This is completely complex. And apart of this, we don't produce only one site. We have many sites. Then you need to transform your management system. If not, you will go into a chaos. So carry on, please. How we have done this, okay? The first thing is we trust on people. We bring to the people the empowerment, we tell them which are the responsibilities, we give them two main tools at the time to run the project, because all those things is to say that the P&L and the project is in hands of a team with the project manager as the main director of the project. Okay, the two main tools are: first, you should standardize as whatever you can your processes. You have always things or activities of each process that can be standardized. So you can do it in design, in supply chain, in manufacturing, in process management, in project management, and so on. Risk management, there are always standard parts. So this is process view, let's say, which are the three first points. On the other hand, you should in parallel work in the product standardization and modularization. Okay, we have the root, the process, on the other side you have the product. You cannot design a new product completely starting from zero in each project, because if not, you are in a chaos again. So combining those two things, process management together with the product standardization and modularization, you put all those tools in your project team, and they deliver, and they can fulfill those KPIs that are on the right-hand side, and I will share with you which are the results. So carry on, please. This same message, but with real illustrative images, you can see our actual process management, which is in a constantly adapting situation. We are all the time receiving lessons learned from the project governance team. They are the ones running the car in this case. We have specialized people working in the process standardization, because there is always somehow some part which can be a standard. We have the IRIS. It is giving us some tools, some standards, and a part of this we have our own expertise. And on the bottom side we have some people, which we have in our case 5 product lines, 5 platforms, let's say, and later on we have 10, 12 building blocks, which are the Lego parts of those trains. So okay, so if you combine the process standardization with your product modularization, and you put together and you bring those tools to the project team, then you can satisfy all the requirements in each project, because there will be always a percentage of the project which is specific for each customer. So that's why you need a standard, but you need customize. Carry on, please. And those are the results. And this is, I put the last 4 or 5 years. We have increased our customer satisfaction by 10%. We have, since the year 2018, started measuring also our supplier satisfaction in the rail. We have raised up 9%. So the customer says, yes, you are improving. The supplier says, yes, you are improving. We need to work with suppliers. You are part of our value chain, because we are together at the time to supply our trains. And also important is not only we don't have not the customer and also the supplier, we have our shareholders, and our shareholders, they want to increase the profitability. How we can improve our profitability? Reducing the inefficiency, which is the non-quality cost. We have reduced more than 36% in the last 4 years and a half our non-quality cost. And we have seen that all those things are coming and bringing us an increased repeatability of our customers. And again, it's cheaper to maintain a customer than to open a new one. And that's it. And the last slide is again the 3 messages. It's a must, even if the sector is difficult, you are in a transformation process, you can obtain positive results. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ander, for this very detailed presentation, and with this very detailed analysis of the situation within your company. Now, in order to be absolutely complete in the industry, in the global industry spectrum, I would also ask you to listen to multi-business company thinking, and how to deal with project management in this area. And now I would hand over the floor to Stefan Felges from Harting.
Yes, thank you very much, Bernhard. Hello to everyone in the world. Thank you for giving me the chance to present in this platform the way how we handle and deal with projects. Mainly, I first want to, of course, introduce, can you click further one page, introduce our company, just some general facts and figures. We are a family-owned company. You see the Harting family there presenting or presents or is still really active also on project management. So you see our senior Dietmar Harting, he's very in detail and he's really he's pushing that we have an improvement nearly every year on of course product development and supporting project management. We are, and I was very interested in listening the presentation of Ander. We have same challenges over the last years. We were a very local company, smaller company with less projects, and we are now coming more and more growing globally. We have a strategy target to be in the region for the region, having project management or product development accessible in all main regions. And this, of course, and therefore I can confirm the challenges he was describing there and the solutions. It's a need of having a really standardized project management which supports this, of course. One click further. As mentioned, we have not a typical project business where we have an end at the end and we produce, I don't know, a train or so. We are in component business. We serve different products for a lot of different applications, a very broad variety, starting with machinery and robotics connectivity solutions, and very new and very massive growing, of course, even in automotive in the last years. So very wide spread out worldwide. We have over 10,000 customers, and we, of course, coming from single product developments and projects for this, we also have customized solutions. And due to the high variety and complexity and also a knowledge issue, we even build our own machines. And also these are projects for us. Of course, when we build machines to assemble connectors or customized solutions. And not only use this for us, we also use this for other companies who come to us because we have a high experience in especially assembling very, very small, tiny contacts and housings and stuff like that. Yeah, due to the fact, maybe one page further. Due to the fact that we have so many different customers, our main target is developing products for a catalog. Yeah. Of course, we are very close to the customer. We are attending a lot of different fairs all over the world to get in contact with our different customers and applications and hear what are the challenges and what are the needs. And out of this input, we create and listening to the trends, we create solutions and try to offer all the different solutions for the customers and present this in catalogs. So 95% almost are product developments for catalog articles. We run our projects in a typical stage gate process model with relevant phases, which I will present in the next slides, and milestones. We were always discussing, okay, maybe we change from this, I would say, typical way of producing or developing and having a project management to a more agile project management. But due to the fact that we have a lot of standards and repeating things, we have not that high complexity in view of a development. We, of course, use some agile methods, but mainly these are only temporary or in certain situations we use this. Otherwise, we have overall the stage gate process model here. Our time to market, meaning from starting a project to launching the product, we have an average of about 12 to 14 months, which is reflecting more or less a need. Of course, a lot of customers always want to have it quicker, but I think this is already a very competitive value. And as I mentioned before, we are getting more and more global. We have nearly in every area of the world, we have development centers and try to apply, of course, not individual different projects standards. We want to have a global project standard. This is where we are aiming for and rolling this also out in the different areas. Page further. Yeah, as you see here, this is more or less now explaining how does a project run through our organization. Very general, of course, but everything starts, as I mentioned, with being very close to the customer, looking what kind of trends we have to serve. And out of this, all of this input, we create, we make a portfolio planning or roadmaps for the different product lines we have and application or markets. And then sort this in the jar there, or visible, shown there for new products. You see very slightly, we of course have other projects, as I mentioned, building machines or operation projects regarding new investments and stuff like that, or sales and marketing projects. But what we are focusing today on here is how do we develop and support with project management new products. In the first step, after we have the rough planning or the roadmap planning, we start to classify these projects. We make a strategy fit to the long-term strategy. We make, of course, feasibility checks. Do we understand the functionality? Do we understand the problem in the beginning? What kind of functionalities do we have to apply? Of course, we look also on economical constraints, etc. And when after this, then we sort this or bring this in a certain order to the different product lines. We have several product lines for the different product variants. This is one criteria why we sorted to A, B, or C, for example. We, of course, look also because not every development hub in the world has the same maturity already. Some are more starting to be mature, some are already long existing. So this is also in regards of competences and feasibilities, a big criteria to locate this project in this area of the world or there. And of course, where's the customer? It's also important or market important criteria to bring it in a certain backlog of this product line. And then when we come to the execution, we try to control, of course, the work in process. So because we don't want to start every project at the same time, but as you saw, we of course have the constraint or the challenge that we have to be quite quick in our development with everything what has to be done. But therefore, you really have to have an eye on your work in process so that you don't come to a stop because no one really knows what to do. And you still have a very clear transparency about the steps which have to be done. Exactly. And at the end, we, of course, deliver these projects. What you also see on the right and on the left side is that sometimes it's also a need when basic functionalities still have to be developed. We also launch in maybe 2 or 3 months duration some kind of advanced development where we come from the idea, check the basic functionality, and then when this is positive, then we bring it back to the new product line or project. Or even could also be that it was a good idea and the experience is also good, but we don't make a product out of this. And of course, we have product care. As you saw, we have a big variety. We have small projects for optimizing and or maintaining existing products, and these are more our smaller projects, but they also follow a certain standard project management standard. Yes, now next page. Yeah, in detail, our PEP, our product development process, stage gate model is mainly we have 3 or 4 phases. In the beginning, we have the definition, yeah, the idea generation, the evaluation in regards of functionality, process capabilities, and things like that. We look at the technical specifications. We create technical specifications. Harting is very strongly involved in also creating technical standards for connectors and applications. This is the first phase. Of course, everything is supported with a certain, I would call it in general, checklist, where we have certain points which are a must, which are standardized, which we always have to find an answer or a solution for. And when we fulfill this, then we go in, we reach a milestone. The starting milestone is milestone 1. When we get the project order to start now the conception work, meaning, okay, how can we produce this part? What would be feasible? What are the tolerances? So this is design work we have to run. We make right in the beginning and increase this more and more, try to simulate the application and the functionality to find or to find maybe risky areas or risks which we have to find solutions or answers for. We supported also in the beginning right away very fast with prototypes and run tests to get also there already in a very early stage overview about the risks. And of course it ends, then the design phase ends with a design freeze. This is milestone 2. So up to there, we have a lot of theoretical, of course, we also produce prototypes, but theoretical work, I would say, or design work we did. And now we go where we start spending money. So the realization phase is in the beginning, we launch the investments we need. And we aim for a product validation in the first step. So we have divided a little bit. Beginning, first we make the product validation, and at the end of the realization phase, we also have a process validation. It's very important. So for us to do first the product validation, because this takes also a lot of time that we are on the right track, and the process validation is more or less ramping up the product to a certain status, I would say. This is defined, and with the target, we, for example, have to achieve a certain process capability. The quality rates like ppm and stuff like that have to be at a certain level before we then hand over the new product to the production. Yeah, and then of course we have continuous improvements, but this is more or less tracked by a KPI system, typical QCD. And there it could of course be that, as I mentioned before in the slide, that we have optimization projects where we optimize the products in regards of quality, costs, and things like that. Yeah, this is more or less very rough, very on a high level. Of course, we have several methods and tools we use to support this. For us, very important in projects is the teamwork. We are looking a lot in the competences of our people we have and try to improve that constantly, not only spread them out worldwide, our standards. I think project always has to do with a lot of with the competence of the persons, the team members, and how they work together. And this is important beside all the standards that this works. And then we know, and our figures in the beginning of the page show that we can have success, but most important is of course that our customers, very easy saying, are happy and with what we deliver. Yes, this was my last slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Stefan. As I told you at the beginning, we have published a project management guideline. In fact, it was put on the IRQB website yesterday. And let's now concentrate on this document and trying to explain you what you can find in it. So there will be two views in the next presentation. The first is the approach towards the global references and why we have to do this, and this will be presented by Jana Jung from the IMC, and then later on also in terms of advices to address it in the different type of companies, and this will be done by Louise from Siemens. So now, Jana, first, the floor is to you.
Yes, thank you, Bernard. So welcome everybody also from my side. As Bernard said, my name is Jana Jung. I'm the Iris Development Manager at the IMC, and I will first give you a little look inside our guideline and some explanation how we set up our guideline. So on the next slide, we maybe start with the beginning, so with the requirements in ISO TS 22163. So you see there are 9 main chapters. The chapter 8.1.3 for project management is divided in, and we have different aspects that are considered regarding the project management. For example, the scope management, so to clearly define what is the scope of our project, but also, for example, the integration management. So how is the project integrated in the whole organization? But they also need to, of course, consider factors such as time, costs, or quality. The basic fact project should figure out, and also risk and opportunities. Maybe you think it is a bit redundant because some of these issues are already covered in the ISO TS 22163, such as risk and opportunities, procurement, human resources, or quality. But these are really focusing on how the projects are handled within the organization. So this is then really how this needs to be figured out for the project management process. So maybe we go to the next slide, and here I would like you to contribute a little bit. Maybe you can give me your opinion. What are the most challenging requirements in the project management chapters? So I have chosen 5 of the 9, and maybe you can give me a feedback what you think is the most challenging. And then I can also maybe in the meantime describe how we started our working group. So before the working group started with the defined work of setting up the guideline, there was a survey performed and sent out to the IRIS auditors to ask them where they see maybe some struggles within the assessment of the project management requirements. And we got quite good feedback from the auditors that it is mainly very difficult for companies who are not performing design and development activities, and also especially for companies that are small or medium sized. So we saw that there are a lot of companies that do own manufacturing activities and are small and medium sized, and they really struggle with the requirements of the project management, as they usually have more a product business than a real project business. And I think this is also what can be seen in our Mentimeter, because I think the integration management is quite hard. If you have a quite product-related business, the cost management, of course, is then also more related to a product than to a project. So I see you also agree on the fact that this can be very difficult. Another aspect that became obvious in our survey was that also the Asian companies have a lot of percentages in these companies we define. So the companies only performing manufacturing and maintenance and that are small and medium sized. So here we clearly identified that they need to be considered within our guideline. And this is why we then choose an approach that can be seen on the next slide that is hopefully considering the aspects we saw in the survey. So you here see our guideline approach. So within our guideline, we said that there are 3 different clusters of companies that need to be respected regarding the requirements of project management. So we have the cluster A, which is a clear engineer to order business. such as, for example, a system integrator. So they cover the full requirements of project management. But then we also have companies that do a make to order or assemble to order. So they receive orders from their customers, and according to these orders, they produce the parts or they assemble the parts. And they can then be considered in the cluster B. And then finally, we also have some companies that have really standardized parts, and they only have a made to stock business. So they produce parts, put them on stock, and as soon as they receive an order from their customers, they deliver. Some further examples on these different clusters will also be given by Louise later. So just for you to know. After we have set up this guideline approach with the different clusters, we have also talked to our Asian colleagues of the Working Group 5 for ISO 22163, and they also appreciated this approach as a very good one to implement the project management requirements in their country. So we have quite good acceptance, and we were really happy that we could also consider these companies with our guideline approach. Then we maybe go to the next slide, because this is also something that was already asked in questions. So if you want more information, or if you want to have a look at the guidelines that were already published, you can always go to our IRQB website, so to irqb.org, and under the tab Publications, you see all of our guidelines. So you can have a look at the project management guideline, but also on all of the other guidelines that have already been published. And if you want to stay informed, you can also subscribe to our IRQB bulletin. So as soon as there are new guidelines that are published, or maybe new webinars are planned, you will always receive a message, and you are then always up to date. So after I've now talked a lot about the theory, I would hand over to Louise, and she will really give you a good example for the practical implementation of our guideline.
Thank you very much, Jana, for the introduction. Yeah, my name is Louise Nitsche, and I'm a Quality Systems Manager within Siemens Mobility with focus on IRIS certification. Within my presentation today, I would like to give you a more detailed insight in the project management guideline and to the work of the IRQB Working Group Project Management. Then we can go to the next slide, please. Now I'm really interested where you're from. Where is your company located? So if you would go to menti.com, just let us know. So that's quite interesting. We have a lot of participants from Europe. We have participants from North and South America. That is really great. I'm missing a little bit the Asian participants. I would have suggested that there would have been a lot more. So maybe we can go to the next slide. Then I have another question to you. I would be interested in what business type do you have? Is it more product business? Is it project business, or both? So as we can see here, of course, we have a lot of answers with project business, some answers with product business, and quite a lot to have both business types already in place. I think the railway market is some kind of mixture of project and product business depending on the supply chain, as Stefan already explained. System integrators mainly have a project business as well as the equipment manufacturers. They deliver complex systems depending on individual customer requirements. But on component level, mainly product business is in place. As Jana already explained, the guideline approach is based on the different business types, which can be classified in the categories A, B, and C within the guideline. We have already some questions regarding small and medium enterprises, which are in product business, how they should apply the project management. And that is actually what I would like to explain on the next slides. So how can organizations define their business type or project management category, which Jana already introduced? So therefore, if we go on the next slide, the working group developed a decision process to evaluate which project management category is applicable for an organization. The decision process is always linked to a certified site, not to a whole organization. Now I would like to explain the decision process to you. So the first question is, do you perform design and development activities? If the answer is no, we are on the right side of the slide. And the next question is, do you deliver customized products or services? If no, category C is applicable and the organization deals with standardized products or services. If the answer is yes, it could be the case that the organization gets a drawing and a specification from their customers, which is the basis for their production or service provision. Then it has to be differentiated if the organization has to industrialize new production or process steps, production equipment or tools for their customer orders. If the answer is yes, the category B is applicable, and if the answer is no, category C is applicable. Now let's have a look on the left side of the decision process. If an organization performs a design and development activity, the question is a design and development focused on a new product family, a platform, or a new technology? If the answer is yes, category A is applicable, and the typical project management approach shall be used. If the answer is no, the next question is the design and development independent from individual customer requirements? If the answer is no, category A is applicable and the typical project management approach shall be used as well. If the answer is yes, the design and development is independent from individual customer requirements, the next question is the production or service provision independent from individual customer requirements? If the answer is yes, the next question has to be answered. Do you have to industrialize new production or process steps, production equipment or tools? If the answer is yes, category B is applicable, and if the answer is no, category C. If we go one step back now to the question, is the production or service provision independent from individual customer requirements? And the answer is no, the following question has to be asked. Do you have to industrialize new production or process steps, production equipment or special tools for the customer order? If the answer is yes, category A is applicable, and if the answer is no, category B. As you can see, the decision flow is structured in a way that it can be analyzed how critical or risky and complex an order fulfillment process is. If standardized processes are in place, no new technology, and if the products or services are standardized and independent from individual customer requirements, category C is applicable. A typical project management is not necessary in any case. But if the order fulfillment process is unique because of uncertain boundary conditions, like a new technology, or the design and development is dependent on individual customer requirements, the production or service provision is dependent on individual customer requirements as well, or an industrialization of new production or process steps is necessary, a project management is very sufficient. Potential risk can be reduced due to a professional project management. On my next slide, I would like to explain what to do with a defined project management category. So on the top of the table, you can see the project management categories A, B, and C with an example. And on the left side of the table, there are the headlines of the project management chapters of the ISO TS 22163 listed. The Harvey balls in the table give an overview of the applicability of the project management requirements of the standard. For example, all requirements of Chapter 1.8.3 Project Management are applicable for Category A. In comparison, only some requirements are applicable in Category C. The working group evaluated each individual requirement regarding the business type and explained or transferred the requirements of project management to product business. Therefore, I would like to give you two examples. Independent from the business type, the order fulfillment process has to be defined. In a project business, it is the project management process with all requirements of the project management chapter of the ISO TS. In a product business, the order fulfillment process from order income until to the delivery has to be defined according to the business needs. For sure, the project management process is probably a lot more complex than the order fulfillment process, but both processes are very important. Another example. In a project business, a critical path for each project has to be analyzed. In this case, the requirements from product and project business are very similar. In product business, a bottleneck calculation has to be done. The bottleneck evaluation is not limited to the production process. All process steps of the order fulfillment need to be considered, including purchasing and logistics, for example. As you can see, the applicability of the project management requirements are linked to the complexity of the business type. Within Category C, most requirements of the project management chapter are already covered by other chapters of the standard because the organization has standardized processes and products or services. Nevertheless, project management is a very important tool for unique customer individual orders or design and development projects. On my next slide, I would like to explain the project management approach, how it is implemented in the standard. The IRQB Project Management Working Group made a suggestion for Note 1 of Chapter 8.1.3 Project Management of the ISO TS 22163. Within this note, currently the applicability of the project management chapter is outlined. According to our project management guideline approach, Note 1 was adjusted. This proposal was further the basis for the Working Group 5 of the ISO TC 269. As Jana already explained, the guideline approach was even discussed with Chinese and Japanese IRIS experts, which gave us fruitful input to our working group as well. Here you can see the aligned proposal, which includes the content of the project management guideline. And I already saw there was a question if project management is only applicable for design and development. No, it is not. Project management is applicable for all kinds of organizations. It really depends on the business type, and in special cases, it can be applicable only to design and development, the development of the production process, the repetition of approved products or services, or the order and contract management. On my next slide, I would like to summarize some key messages. Project management is an important process to reduce risks and to avoid or minimize non-conformities. The organization has to define their project management category A, B, or C for a certified site, and the auditor has to cross-check this within every IRIS audit. In any case, a mandatory process has to be defined. It can be an order fulfillment process for category C or a project management process for category A or B, according to the business needs. In any case, process KPIs have to be implemented and a performance evaluation has to take place. And according to an organization's order type, the project management requirements can be adjusted as proposed in the guideline. I hope the project management guideline helps organizations and auditors to overcome some challenges with a project management chapter when a product business is in place. From my point of view, project management is a very important tool to ensure high quality in the rail sector. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Louise. Thank you, Jana, for this very detailed approach on the guideline. And I hope that everybody can now discover this on the IRQB website and can dig in this very interesting document. As we are a little bit late on time, we still have a question and answer session. We've got several questions, but I will already introduce the next and last webinar for 2021, which will be focused on the North American market. Please note the date on your agenda. It's the 10th of December, and we will have an analysis on how to develop and how to deploy IRIS and the quality approach in the rail sector in this very huge market. Coming back now to the question, we've got several ones. Some were already answered about where I can find the guidelines. I guess as well that in the presentation of the various experts, and especially the two last one, the aspect of product management, small companies was addressed, but there are still other remaining questions. The first one I would address to Ander from CAF. You said that you spoke about the transformation process. How do you would address this, or how do you see this in regards with the value chain currently in the railway sector? Speaking about the view from a system integrator towards the expectation of an operator for project management, but also towards a supplier where the way is different. So how can you handle these different views you might encounter in your project management? Ander?
Yes, thank you. Easy. Team working. You must involve the customer, you must involve the supplier. We are, all of us, working to bring the best product. So in this sense is the train, just to have the end customer, which is the passenger satisfied. So we must work together, one team working. And the way we approach is we start not with all projects at the same time, because we didn't transform ourselves from one day to another one. We start with some projects and working with some customers and with some suppliers, and later on extend this knowledge and this way of working to the rest of the 100% of the projects.
Thank you, Ander. Next question to Stefan, or IRQB chairman. What are the success factors of project management from your point of view?
Yeah, to ensure good project management, of course, you have to have first a proven methodology. So on the one hand side, there is a guidance based on the requirements in 22163, but you can apply as well a methodology laid down in PMI based on the PMI Institute and IPMA, which is proven and workable. Second, you should implement it really worldwide or encompassing your entire company as a unique methodology, and really think about how to employ it, making your company successful, not so much with a question on certification needs, or but really asking yourself, how do I use project management to be more competitive? And third, of course, having a close control loop based on KPI, checking your projects, improving your projects, having short and quick improvement cycles. I think these are the most decisive factors.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. The next question is for Stefan from Harting. In fact, it's related to your presentation, and then the question came, is the project management only meant for new products to be developed? What is your point of view about that?
No, as I mentioned, of course, I presented mainly, or the focus was now on new products, but as I mentioned also, we have, of course, an existing portfolio, and due to different maybe requirements or challenges, or we hear from the market, of course, we take existing products and optimize these products, add functionalities, add maybe or change processes to produce this part, and this also is handled by a project or project management as called, and standardized project management method.
Okay, thank you, Stefan. A question for Louise. Why is it not possible to exclude project management at all within the IRIS audit when an organization business type is product business?
Yeah, because some requirements for project business and product business are the same. For example, from my point of view, every organization should have a defined order fulfillment or project management process, which should be measured and monitored by KPIs. And if we have a look at the KPIs, it doesn't really matter if I have a project business or a product business. I need to measure the on-time delivery, for example, for both business types. I can measure the project cost or the product costs, and of course the non-conformance costs. And this is really important for both business types.
Okay, thank you, Louise. Last question for Jana. Regarding the implementation, and as also explained in Louise's slide about the inclusion of some elements of the guideline, maybe in the new ISO 22163, will the project management requirement be changed in a significant way in the upcoming ISO 22163, as you were a member of this working group 5? I don't know if you can disclose absolutely everything because it's still on process. Let's give your point of view on that.
No, yeah. So basically, I think it is fair to say that the requirements will not significantly change. There will be some slight changes, but in general, the project management chapter, as we know it in IRIS certification, will stay on this approach.
Okay, thank you for this very brief answer. On my side, as a convener of the group, I will be very careful because we still have a validation period for the new draft of the ISO 22163, and I hope that all the proposals of our group will be accepted by the different countries. Will be published by end of next year. Yes, I have another question, a last question coming just in, linked to the kind of matrix presented by Louise in her presentation about the fact that if this can be used and so on. So, I mean, what is the point of view of Louise? How do you express and understand this?
Yeah, the question is if the matrix will be distributed to the IRIS auditors, which I showed in my presentation. Yes, of course, this matrix is part of our guideline, and there is even a more detailed matrix in it where every requirement was evaluated by the working group. And of course, this is available for every IRIS auditor as well as for every organization.
Yeah, thank you. And in fact, as it is in the guideline, it is not a mandatory document, but of course it can be used as a guide, and it can help if some aspects or some type of organization are not absolutely clear. And in this case, it is of help, of course, for companies and the auditor. So there is also a question, but this I think is for our communication manager Arthur, who organized our webinars, which is linked to the accessibility of the guidelines on the IRQB website. So I don't know, Arthur, if you want to address this directly or you will answer by email to the.
Yes, hello everyone, and I'm happy to also have the opportunity to answer one question here at the end of this webinar, so thank you very much. Regarding the accessibility of the guidelines, these guidelines are available on the IRQB website. So if you go to irqb.org, you will find them under the publications section. So if you click on the guideline that you wish to download, you just need to fill in a quick form, and you have that immediately available. And indeed, what I also suggest that you do, and what also Jana mentioned before, is to subscribe to our mailing list. You can also find it on the IRQB website. If you see, there is one menu item called IRQB Bulletin. To fill in your details, because then you are always sure to receive all this information to your email. And of course, we will also be sharing this information on our social channels, so feel free to also follow us there.
Okay, thank you very much, Arthur. Now I think as we are even a little bit over the time, but the topic was very important and interesting for the attendees. I will again thank all the attendees. I wish you an excellent weekend, and I hope that you enjoyed this session. You can still have a look on the video, which will be published soon this afternoon. And if you want to show again some answers or some different aspects on the slides from our experts, this is also available. And I look really forward to meeting you again in almost 1 month for the last webinar of the 2021 season, I would say, of this IRQB session. Thank you very much. Thank you for our speakers, and look forward to meeting you. Thank you. Bye-bye.